Here we go then, lesson number 3, and it's Thursday the 23rd of January. However, I don't think there's going to be much flying going on, do you? Viz is probably, about 400 metres, and the cloud base is less than 100 feet. So I think what we'll do today is a bit of familiarisation with the aircraft and a bit of ground study as well. Oh well, let's go and see what we can do. Okay, so this is my trusty steed. This is the Grob, and what I'm going to do is a walk around now, which is what you do before every flight. So I'm going to do the walk around. It's for my reference. I might put some of it in the video, not sure, but follow me through and we can you can see what we do, and I'm hoping I don't miss any bits. Let's get on with it. Okay, so first thing first, when we approach the aircraft, we want to make sure that it looks like an aircraft, that it looks like it should look, i.e. you've got a couple of wings, always helpful, the rudder's there, propellers there, elevators are there, we've got wheels there as well. That's pretty good. Now we then walk around the side of the aircraft here. I've already been inside, and what we're going to do is just to switch on the master switch here, and what this will do is enable us to switch on the landing lights and the navigation lights, and we're going to check those. So first up, walk around the aircraft. We're going to check the stall warning. Yep, that works. We're going to check the navigation light on the left side, so that's on the port side, the red one, that works. The beacon's flashing nicely there, and nav light on the back is working, and we're going to come around here to make sure that the starboard light is working as well. There it is on the right side, and then around the front of the aircraft, and we're going to make sure that the landing light is working as well. It is. Now, something just to note, that if we were actually flying today, that I'd remove is the pitot tube cover, which is that luminous ribbon you can see there. We need to take that off before we fly. Okay, so let's go now and turn the lights off. So there we go, those are off now. Now it's time for the full aircraft inspection, and we can start from this wing. So what we're doing is we're looking for anything, any foreign objects that might be along the wing, any damage that may be on the wing, and I'm just going to touch this and just make sure there's nothing on there that I should be concerned about, which there isn't. I'm going to look underneath, make sure it looks the shape of a wing, which indeed it does. Check the wheels, and the creep mark there, which is the red mark, that should be in line, which it is. It means that there hasn't been any skidding on touchdown, any heavy landings. So then I'm going to come round to the ailerons here, and what we're going to do is just to raise them and lower them, and I'm going to check the linkages just in there, and they look pretty good, or very good. Now what I didn't do when the master switch was on was lower the flaps, so I'll do that at the end. So we're then going to come around here. I would do a fuel check as well, just make sure there's no water in the fuel, look at the shape, the fuselage, make sure that it all looks like it should, that there isn't any damage along it, which there doesn't appear to be. We're going to check the rudder, not the rudder, we're going to check the fin here, make sure that the elevators are all okay. So here it is, and what I'm going to do here is just to lift it up, and I can see that that's fine. We're going to just move the rudder, not all the way, we're going to be very gentle with it and make sure it goes the other way. Check the linkages down there, which look good. Round to the other elevator here, Make sure that that goes up and down freely. Yeah, we've got free movement there. We're going to do the same here. The fin here, give it a shake, make sure it's all attached, which it is. Make sure that that's all in good condition, that the tail is all in good condition, which it is. Come down this side, make sure everything is good here, which it is. Just check underneath, check the skid block, make sure nothing off there. Just check underneath here, make sure nothing untoward, nothing hanging down. Got a pitot tube there, which is exactly what we should have. Then look at the wing here, make sure that that's all okay. We're going to come to the aileron here, and we're just going to do the same as we did on the other side. And as I do that, notice in the cockpit the controls moving. So same check again, just to make sure everything's okay there. Round to the wing, have a look underneath, make sure it's the shape a wing should be, nothing hanging down. Check the creep mark, no, nothing there. We're going to walk along, check the wing again, make sure there's nothing untoward with the wing, which there doesn't appear to be. No, in fact I said that was a pitot, it's not, it's an aerial. Another aerial here. Come to here, make sure there's nothing blocking in here, and then make sure these rivets are nice and tight on the engine cover here, which they appear to be. I'm going to check inside the engine here, just make sure there's nothing untoward in there, no bird's nest, nothing like that. The exhaust looks good. We're going to go in here on the top part of the engine and have a look, make sure there's nothing untoward in there, which there doesn't appear to be. I'm going to check the oil, so just undo the oil, take a look. Don't rub it up the side, otherwise I won't be able to tell how much there is. And there should be between 4 and 5, which there is. That can go back, only tighten it finger tight. There we are, very lightly. And round to the front again, make sure that the propeller looks okay, which indeed it does. Check the inlets, make sure there's nothing in there. No, and again, no, and make sure this one is empty, which it is. Nothing in there at all. Cowling is attached, which it is. And then the visual inspection of the propeller. Just have a look, make sure there's no divots out of the propeller anywhere, and do that before you rub your fingers down, because you could get some very nasty injuries to your fingers if there are any divots. There don't appear to be. It appears to be okay, and same with this one. Yeah, it appears to be okay. We're all good. We're clearing the vent here as well, and then round to the engine cover here. Make sure that the rivets all attached, staying clear of the propeller at all times, because it could start unexpectedly. All clear here, and then the vent here. Just make sure that the front wheel is okay, it looks good, the condition of the tyre is good, the condition of both tyres looks good, it does. Everything connected, no cracks in the struts, and the boot here is all good. Yeah, that's all good as well. So it looks like we're good to go with that. Okay, so I'm in the aircraft and I'm practicing my checks once we get in the aircraft, for starting the engine, for taxiing and for takeoff, because I thought that while the weather's bad like this, and I'd got a lesson due anyway, it was well worthwhile coming in just to do some familiarisation work with the cockpit here in the Grob. Okay, so pre-flight inspection completed, documentation completed. The Hobbs meter is noted 1237762. Fuel cock is set to on. The trim, have we got full travel with the trim? Yes, we have, but I won't confirm it until I've actually confirmed it. So yeah, we've got full travel and it's set for takeoff. So there we are, we're set for takeoff. Mixture set to rich. Carburettor heat set to cold. Parking brake is on. Beacon is on. And I can see it flashing there. Controls are free and correct. So I want to check that we've got full control here. So back, just check the ailerons. One goes up, one goes down, yep. And then the other way. One goes up, one goes down, absolutely. And we've got full travel, yep. Pedals adjusted. Now I can adjust the pedals with a little wheel that you turn, a little crank that you turn just underneath the seat here. So I've adjusted those. Still getting used to those. I think they'll take quite a bit of getting used to just for where the most comfortable position is. It's a bit like driving a car really. Trying to get your adjustment, but the seat doesn't adjust, the pedals do. Seat belts fastened. Well, if we were going for a flight, then the seat belts would be fastened. Canopy, as required. I'm going to leave a gap in today because if I shut it all the way up, we're going to steam up pretty quickly. Avionics master is off. Master switch is on. And when we switch it on, everything comes to life. Circuit breakers are in. Fuel contents checked. Not much fuel in there at all. And then we come to the engine start procedures. Now I'm going to just turn the master switch off because it's just wasting the battery. Don't need to do that. Throttle, pump it 5 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And we'd shout clear prop at this point because that's when we're going to start the engine. So ignition goes to start. It would start up. Do you want me to do the engine noise? There we are. And then once it starts, it goes to both on the switch here. We check there's no smoke. We check there's no fire. We check that the generator light has gone out, which indeed it has. Throttle is set to 1200, so we'll put 1200 RPM in. All pressure is in the green arc, which it is, and it should get there within 30 seconds. After the engine start then, fuel pump off, that's off. Voltmeter, green arc, check that that's okay. Avionics master on and set, which means that we can now use the radios. Magnetos checked, so we're going to go 2 to the left, 1, 2. Should see a slight dip in revs, yep. So then we come back to both, and then we go 1 to the left, deep. See if we see a dip in revs again. We do. Back to the right. Okay. Turn coordinator, flag away. Well, it's on here at the moment because we've got nothing switched on, but it would disappear. Flaps retracted fully up. Yep, flaps are fully up. Gyro instruments, suction, which is a suction here, erection, and alignment. So just making sure that we are erect on the altimeter, and the alignment as well is looking good, aligned with the compass. So DI, let's just do that. Yep, that's looking good. Okay, then we're on to clearance obtained. So then we call the tower and we get clearance. Then we're going to taxi. So we're going to check the brakes. So what we would do is throttle up, go forwards a little bit, and then press both brake pedals. We'll do instrument taxi checks. So we're going to make sure that everything's working. We're going to check that all the gauges are working, which they are. We'll check that the DI and the compass match, which indeed they do. So they're done and completed. Then we get to the run-up stage. So this is where we're on the runway and we've aligned the aircraft into the wind. And we're going to check the parking brake is on, which it is. Throttle set to 1200 RPM. Engine instruments checked. So just make sure they're in the green arc again. Oil pressure is good. Yep, oil pressure is good. Mixture rich, up to rich. Throttle set to 2000 RPM. So there we are, it's on 2000 RPM now. Suction is checked and within the green arc. Engine instruments, T's and P's are all checked. Carburettor heat is on, so we'd pull that out and make sure that we see a drop in revs of not more than 50, or minimum drop, sorry, of 50 RPM. Yep, that happens, in it goes. Magnetos check, again, 2 to the left, check the RPM, back to both. 1 to the left, check the RPM, back to both. Throttle is set to idle. Carburettor heat on, and then off. Throttle to 1500 RPM, so we just go up to 1500 RPM. Then we're on to our pre-takeoff checks. So we taxi to the end of the runway, and we're going to go to fuel cock, contents on. Trim set for takeoff. Friction nut set. Mixture is rich. Carburetor heat is cold. Flaps are checked to set to the takeoff position. That's 1 notch of flaps. Fuel pump is on. Controls full and free movement, which we have. Magnetos both, set to both. Flight instrument checked as required. Avionics navigate as required. Canopy is closed. Seatbelts are fastened. We're then at the holding point for the runway. So we then use ATPL. So it's approach, and we're going to check on the approach and make sure that we're all clear. We're going to check the transponder. That needs to be set to alt. The pitot heat is on as required, and the lights are as required as well. Keeping a good lookout all the time. Then we're at the end of the runway, and we're going to do our takeoff roll. So power set to 2,350 RPM. Bring it up in a smooth movement, 2,350 RPM. Engine instruments check. Temperatures and pressures, T's and P's, all good in the green arc. Airspeed indicator checked. Runway centerline maintaining. Airspeed is coming alive. We're on the centre line, and we're up. As soon as we climb, so we want to bring the flaps up. Engine, T's and P's checked. Airspeed 75 knots. Runway still on the centre line, and that's, we remember that as FEAR. So it's flaps, engine, airspeed, runway. Once we get to 1,000 feet, fuel pump, check the pressure, turn it off, lights as required. And then we're in the cruise, and on the cruise the checks are freeder. So these are fuel, check the fuel amount, fuel pump on, fuel pump off. Make sure that's all still working, make sure we've got sufficient fuel quantity. Radio is set and checked. Engine is checked. Everything in the green arc. These are T's and P's checked. Direction checked. So cross-check compass with the DI, and the altitude is good. And then we are in the cruise. Now, so that's as far as I've got so far. Lots to take in, lots to learn. Now that freeder check is really important, because as part of that it's fuel. So you check fuel pump is, flick it on, see what difference it makes to fuel pressure, turn it off, check you've got the correct quantity of fuel available. Then look out. So this is a scan lookout, so we're looking definitely to see if there's anything. Then we come back to radio. Radio is checked. Then we look again, scan again. Engine instruments in the greens, looking good. Pressures in the greens, everything is looking good. Check again. Then we get to direction, so on the DI, make sure that it all matches in with the compass. Yep, that all matches in. Check. And then check on the altimeter as well, and then keep a good look at. And it's those checks that we do all the time. Okay. Interesting stuff, isn't it? A lot to take in. It feels a lot like actually driving lessons. Remember that? And you've got so much to take in, and hopefully it all becomes automatic eventually. Okay, I'll leave you with that for now. Thanks for watching. Hopefully it's been an interesting video for you, particularly those of you perhaps who are considering learning to fly or just in the first stages of it, as indeed I am. Okay, yeah, I'll leave you that for now. Don't forget, subscribe, like, and set the notification as well, so that you'll get notified every time a new video becomes available. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.